Sprouse's Markets. Taste like home.
Being a part of people's lives, from an engagement ring to a wedding band. Before you know it, the wedding day is here, and groom and bride are exchanging gifts on that day. And not too long after that, there's baby gifts to have. And I just enjoy being part of other people's family, saying, Mr. Friend did my engagement ring and he did my mom and dad's engagement ring. My name is Ken Friend of Friend & Company Fine Jewelers. You've got a friend in the jewelry business.
Making your way in the world today takes everything you've got. Taking a break.
A lot going on in the world today, and we're going to run Cheers reruns for the next 2 hours. I don't think so. Corey Johnson with you, the neutral ground, coming your way. We're just waiting for Drew Brees' intro. He's on his palatial estate / compound in La Jolla, outside of San Diego, one of the most affluent places on planet Earth. Mr. Drew Brees, number 9. Mr. Drew Brees, number 9. There he is. Almost thought we lost him for a minute. Thank you very much, Mr. Brees. It is a Monday afternoon in New Orleans, an absolutely gorgeous Monday afternoon in New Orleans. Turmoil can be going on right around the corner, halfway around the world, and it can be absolutely incredible here. That's what it feels like. Kind of reminds me of, I don't know, we had a few hurricanes ago hitting the Florida Panhandle, and we had weather like this. And 4 hours down I-10, it was 90-mile-an-hour winds and sidewards rain. Well, it's a little farther than Destin or Fort Walton or Pensacola or Panama City. Israel under attack in a war. And it's not Israel against Palestinians. It's Israel against a terrorist organization, Hamas, probably Hezbollah. That's essentially my folks as far as Lebanese, Syrian type folks, but the terrorist group. Iran indirectly, might even be China, Russia involved when you keep going farther down the line. But Hamas, front and center, a terrorist organization. The incidental is, I don't want to say the incidental, they're Palestinians. They may claim to be Muslims. They may claim to, follow the Quran, but it is a perverted version of all of that. Palestinian Muslim following the Quran. They are terrorists. They are beyond extremists. They are murderers, rapists to the worst degree. And Hamas, not everyday Palestinians. It's not Israel versus Palestine. No, Hamas attacked everyday Israelis. Thousands dead, thousands more injured. Hundreds taken hostage. Amongst the dead, soldiers, women, children, teens. This supernova music festival where Hamas terrorists hang glided into the desert area, sort of out in the middle of nowhere. Slaughtered 260, took maybe north of 100 hostage. Unarmed young people at a concert, like mostly 20-something-year-olds, around 20-ish. Hamas gunmen killing handcuffed children, reportedly. Just beyond tragedy going on in Israel, in Gaza. Just a ridiculously tough puzzle to fix. You've got north of 2 million Palestinians, north of 7 million Israelis. I shouldn't say Israelis because the Palestinians are Israeli citizens. You have north of 7 million Jews. They're not going anywhere. It would be like telling New Orleans, white people, you need to leave New Orleans. Black people, you need to leave New Orleans. Black and white people aren't going anywhere. It's get along, act normal, be humane. My God, color of skin is irrelevant. Palestinian Jew, irrelevant. It's either get along or continue fighting forever because neither's leaving. There's so many layers to this thing, too. A few months ago, you had protests because you have an extreme right-wing government in Israel trying to lessen the courts and enhance the legislative branch of their government. Lots of people protesting on the streets. Now you have a unified Israel, as they should be. Netanyahu is like the guy you want in charge when there is a war going down. He is relentless, but also already laws are changing, wartime acts. They're going to stay in place after this thing's over. In a few weeks, in a few months, this is Israel. Hamas is about to get crushed from all different angles that Hamas is not even conceiving, that Israel has been thinking about for years, for decades, in case this type of thing were to happen. Hamas is about to get their rear ends handed to them in a most brutal, vicious way like they've never seen. I would not doubt Israel's word. Netanyahu, wartime situation. No, but this thing, so many levels. If you're an Israeli, you're focused on Hamas, getting them out. But boy, what was going on protest-wise, Israel could change permanently. Some freedoms may be gone forever. No, just a terrible, terrible weekend. 3 days in Israel. A war. Israel has declared war on Hamas, not Palestinians. Gaza is full of about 2 million Palestinians, most Israeli citizens that are Palestinian. Gaza is controlled by Hamas. In a democracy, they won the vote to represent that area. It is politically Hamas controlled. Kind of like New Orleans, going like east in Israel, the eastern side of Israel, the West Bank of the Jordan River. The West Bank is occupied by Palestinians and ruled by Palestinians, not by Hamas, not by a terrorist organization that happens to be Palestinian too. Arnie Filko, former New Orleans City Council president, proud member of the New Orleans Jewish community. Arnie Filko is going to join us on the program in about 5 minutes. Give us a little clarity on this situation, get his viewpoint on this situation. For me, it's pretty simple, and I'll tell you about Netanyahu. Not when there's a war going on. When a war is going on, this is the guy you want. When there's not a war going on, he can be pretty extreme. And Netanyahu is not for a two-state solution. Netanyahu is like essentially not for any Palestinians being there, or if they're going to be there, they're going to be fully controlled and not have freedoms like Israelis, not for a two-state solution. And I don't think anything else is possible. And Jerusalem would have to be an international city. It's not part of Israel exclusively. If you look throughout history, that would be sort of insane to think that Jerusalem is strictly Israel. There are too many religions, Christianity, Judaism, Muslims. I'm sure I'm missing a few where Jerusalem is significant. A lot of misinformation out there. It's like politics in New Orleans or Louisiana, the United States, extremists, a lot of misinformation, a lot of folks making you think it's this versus that when it's not this versus that. Boy, Clarissa Ward on CNN, incoming rockets, gunfire. She dropped not one, but two F words live. And she's a pro, experienced war vet. And then CNN ran the recorded version, and she's dropping those F words 2 times. I saw the recorded version. One side of me is like, how can that go down in the middle of the day on television? And the other side of me was like, CNN did it on purpose, because not to like shock or get ratings, because it's Clarissa Ward, legitimate journalist, and that's how it was going down.
Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com. Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com.
Fausto's Italian Bistro on Veterans Boulevard, where the brothers Fausto and Roland are serving some of the city's finest Sicilian and Italian cuisine. From New Orleans' first family of Sicilian and Italian cooking, Fausto's Italian Bistro on Vets.
Why wear the same old glasses that everyone else is wearing? Stand out from the crowd. Come to Art and Eyes. Art and Eyes is not your typical eyeglasses store. It's one of the finest eyewear shops in the country, right here in New Orleans. Precision engineered prescription lenses and gorgeous high quality frames from the heart of Europe, Japan, and the United States. Our products are thoughtfully curated, and our staff are here to help you find exactly the right frames. Art and Eyes, a magazine as unique as you.
Here at the NOLA Coalition, we love our kids and we love our city. The people of New Orleans are standing together for a better future. By harnessing our collective resources, the NOLA Coalition will create a safer, more prosperous city for all residents. Your support is needed to help reduce violence, invest in our children, and drive generational change. Join now at nolacoalition.info.
Young's Dry Cleaning has free pickup and delivery. That's right. Young's Dry Cleaning has absolutely free pickup and delivery. Home or office, East Bank or West Bank. Call Young's at 288-8381 or online at youngsdrycleaning.com.
When a young man comes in and they walk into our store, and you can see they're a little intimidated. Last week, I saw the young man. I said, "Hey, what can I do to give you a hand?" And he said, "Well, I'm here for an engagement ring, but I don't think I'm in the right place." So I got him to my desk, and within an hour, he had purchased an engagement ring, had spent $1,000, and he was treated like he spent a lot more, and I'm sure we have a customer for life. My name is Ken Friend of Friend & Company Fine Jewelers. You've got a friend in the jewelry business.
River Cities Total Maintenance keeps you cool, New Orleans. NOLAAC.com is your cool spot.
Trey Yen in Mandeville, a New Orleans tradition for over 40 years, serving the finest Louisiana-inspired Chinese cuisine. Open Tuesday through Sunday. Trey Yen.
The Woodhouse Day Spa, with 5 area locations: New Orleans, Metairie, Slidell, Baton Rouge, and now Mandeville. A day of relaxation is just moments away at the Woodhouse Day Spa. WoodhouseSpas.com.
The Port of New Orleans is the gateway to global commerce, the economic engine that moves Louisiana and our country forward. For more than 125 years, Port NOLA has continued to deliver the goods we use each and every day. By river, rail, and by road. No matter what, it all happens right here, delivering Louisiana's future at the Port of New Orleans, your working river. Learn more about your Port of New Orleans. Visit portnola.com.
Ooh la la, Leidenheimer, that's what I said. Ula Leidenheimer, that's French for bread. Leidenheimer.
The French bread of the city of New Orleans. Good to the last crumb. Leidenheimer French bread.
Did you know Rouse's sells only Angus beef? Angus beef's natural marbling means more succulence and flavor. Whether you choose Rouse's USDA Prime, Choice, or Select, it'll be only Angus beef when you get it at Rouse's. Tastes like home. Francesca Deli and Pizzeria has over 15 specialty sandwiches, a big 10-ounce burger, and some of the best pizza in New Orleans. Francesca Deli and Pizzeria on Harrison Avenue in Lakeview between Canal Boulevard and West End.
Yeah, you right, Crescent City and beyond. Corey Johnson back at you on a Monday afternoon. A somber Monday afternoon if you just care about humanity. A major crisis, a war in Israel as we speak. Arnie Filko, former New Orleans City Council president, former Saints executive, proud member of the New Orleans Jewish community, joins us live on the program this afternoon. How you doing, Arnie? I wish we were talking about Field of Dreams or Troy Danon taking the Washington job and leaving Tulane. I wish we could talk about something like that.
Yeah, hi, Corey. I wish we could as well. This is, I think somber is a good term. This is a somber day, a somber weekend. Anybody that cares about people and humanity, have been watching, I'm sure, with horror throughout the weekend of what's occurred in Israel and the vicious murders and the brutality and the cruelness of what has occurred here is sickening. And so I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you. I think I shared this with you when you called me earlier today. I had trouble all weekend. I mean, going between crying and sadness and anger. And I woke up in the middle of the night last night and said, I'm going to try to put some of my sentiments down on paper, and ended up writing an op-ed that NOLA.com just published. So it's a very sad situation. And I hope and pray that the hostages, over 100 hostages now, will be released and safe and get back to their families. I mean, that's what should happen here. And, right now we don't know if that will occur or not.
No, we don't know. It's a very fluid situation. Israel's saying they're not trading for hostages. And the latest is Hamas saying, it's sort of strange, but it's their request, and it's how Israel's operated. So I guess it's sort of the norm of this conflict from past situations. Hamas is saying, if you're going to bomb somewhere, you better warn us first where you're bombing, or we'll kill a hostage every time you do this without a warning. And Israel, as you know, Arnie, probably much better than I do, they are over the top with this, like phone calls, email blasts, texts going off on phones, notifying on news that a certain area could be bombed, and then even throwing fake bombs, just like weighted things on top of rooftops to let people know in the building, hey, in a few minutes, the real thing's coming. Like they go out of their way to sort of do that.
Absolutely. There's no country in the world, because unfortunately they've had to do this over and over and over. I mean, there's no country in the world that values life, whether it's Jewish life, whether it's Palestinian life, it doesn't matter, values life more than Israel and the Israeli Defense Forces. And they do everything possible to not have innocent people killed. But when terrorist groups like Hamas and Islamic Jihad, put innocent Palestinian civilians in harm's way because they put their rocket launchers in homes and neighborhoods. It's a dense area. Gaza is a dense area to begin with. And they basically use their own population as human shields. Hamas has issued two statements this afternoon. One is, they said, well, let's have a ceasefire. Well, you don't have a ceasefire.
After you shot
hours
first.
after you've murdered nearly 1,000 Israelis at this point.
Yeah.
All right. And then number two, to come out and say that if you don't do what we say, we're going to publicly execute the hostages and put it on TV. I mean, these are, Corey, this is not traditional war. This is not country A versus country B. This is Israel, a sovereign democracy, an ally of the United States, a country that, look, like every country has its own internal politics and issues. That's what democracy is about. But a country that is as close to the United States and what we stand for as anybody, against nothing more than a terrorist group. And, we all looked at, it wasn't that long ago that we were watching ISIS and the beheadings of human beings. Well, that's exactly what occurred this weekend, is ISIS-style vicious shootings, stabbings, shooting kids in the head, taking young women at a musical festival. 260 died who were there for a pro-peace music festival, kidnapping the women, bringing them to Gaza, stripping them naked and driving them to the streets of Gaza. I mean, you are dealing with animals. And for all of the people, and I knew this was coming. I mean, I didn't think it'd come this much on the first day, but we know it's going to come. The anti-Israel sentiment and all of this that goes with it. For anybody that can't understand the inhumanity of what happened on Saturday and Sunday and still happening today, they need to take a good look in the mirror here, because when America was attacked at 9/11, nobody was saying to America, use restraint, don't be so tough. We lost 5,000 Americans that day. Yeah. The equivalency of what we've lost in Israel in the last 48 hours is something along the lines of 30 to 35,000 Israelis on a per capita basis.
It'd be like losing 900 people in Louisiana, Alabama, and Mississippi. That's what it would
yes.
Like.
Exactly.
And if 900 people died by some invasion in Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama, it would be some of the biggest news in the world. And obviously for Israel, even with all the wars and conflicts, and this is sort of as bad as it gets. I mean, outside of like the Holocaust, this could be on level of whatever's fighting for number two, as bad as it gets. And
this is the worst Jewish event since the Holocaust. There is no question about it. I mean, Israel has suffered losses over the years in 1948 when the state was formed, 67 during the Six-Day War, 1973, and then many encounters since then. But again, Corey, this is different. What's happened this weekend has elevated this to something that no one, I'd like to say almost no one in the world has ever seen, but certainly no one in Israel has ever seen. We knew Hamas was a terrorist organization funded and supported by Iran.
Yep.
And nobody should turn a blind eye to the fact that Iran is clearly behind this, okay? And eventually will have to be dealt with because of this. But when you do the level of atrocities that were witnessed over the weekend, again, you're talking Nazi-like tactics of what occurred in World War II.
No, you're right.
And that's over the top, and that cannot be accepted by people of good conscience and humanity.
No, there's no way to justify Hamas, Hezbollah, the kind of, I'm Syrian, Lebanese. That's the terrorist group from that country. That as Americans, we don't connect to Ted Kaczynski or some murderer or the bad side of our country. Palestinians aren't Hamas. Most Palestinians are good people, like Jewish or Italian or anybody. And I know Syrian and Lebanese are great people. This Hezbollah with this Iran backing is the problem. Hey, Arnie, I hate to question this when this is going on. This is probably for a later date, but this is like a 9/11 for Israel in a way. the amount of death and the terror and the extremeness of it. And also, how does this happen? Like, we question 9/11. How does this happen with our intelligence? And I just say, even a great country like America, this can happen. With Israel, it's some of the best intelligence in the world, with British's help, with America's help. How does this happen? And I guess it just can happen, especially with Hamas, that's always threatening, always doing all kind of things. I don't know. It's just hard to believe it could happen.
There's going to be absolutely, not today, not tomorrow, but down the road, there's going to have to be a comprehensive investigation. And actually, some of that has to start right now because, this conflict is going to go on for days and weeks at this point. And Israel has to get that security back up and running as best as it could. I mean, if anybody if you've been to the movie theaters recently and went to see the movie Golda, the whole movie Golda was about the the Yom Kippur War in 1973. And, a similar situation occurred, different, but somewhat similar in the sense that Israel was taken by surprise, at that time by, Arab countries. Okay, this is not a country. This is a terrorist group that's doing it, and the security will have to be studied and determine what went wrong here. Because, Corey, it was just like 9/11. This was a massive failure by the Israeli security, maybe American security as well.
Yeah,
and it will have more than likely repercussions for who ultimately forms the government here going into the future.
That's the scary part. And this is like this. How did this happen? A later date. Just a month ago, 3 weeks ago, a week ago, they're protesting last week in Israel for months and months about this extreme government. And now the door's open for this government. Arnie, don't move. We're coming right back.
Okay.
For us, it's really relationships. And if you care about the relationship, you're going to do the right thing for the customer all the time. When we're in design process of a custom-made piece, I have a test that says, if I wouldn't give this to my wife, I think we should pass and start over. If it's not perfect, it's going back to the shop. We're going to start all the way over. My name is Ken Friend of Friend & Company Fine Jewelers. You've got a friend in the jewelry business.
Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com. Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com.
For over 20 years, serving healthy, fresh, authentic Middle Eastern cuisine, Lebanon's Cafe. In the Carrollton section of Uptown on the streetcar line. Wednesday through Monday, 11 a.m. to 9:30. Lebanon's Cafe.
1970 was an exciting time in New Orleans. The first Jazz Fest was held, the city hosted its first Super Bowl, and the first Helm Paint location opened on Earhart Boulevard. While the floppy disks, mood rings, and pet rocks may have come and gone since the 70s, Helm Paint has grown to become your premier source for quality Benjamin Moore products, competitive pricing, and personal service. Please visit one of our locations today and we'll meet our competitors' prices on any identical product. Helm Paint and Benjamin Moore, let us steer you in the right direction.
Helm Paint and Supply.
The Woodhouse Day Spa, with 5 area locations: New Orleans, Metairie, Slidell, Baton Rouge, and now Mandeville. A day of relaxation is just moments away at the Woodhouse Day Spa. WoodhouseSpas.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, in this Lamarck Automotive Complex is something called Quick Lane. Tires, wheel alignments, struts, servicing your transmission. We do in all makes and models. It doesn't have to have been purchased from us. It's for you. It handles your lifestyle with your budget in mind. And we want to get you in and out as quick as possible. Quick Lane, you got to come see it. You're going to love the experience. Right there at Williams Boulevard in Kenner.
For Leidenheimer Baking Company, producing the perfect French bread is more than a vocation. It's a sacred mission. And for 5 generations, they've used the same time-honored process, baking their signature loaf with its crisp crust and delicate center, unique and still good to the last crumb. From the finest French Quarter restaurants to your local po' boy shop, for over 125 years, New Orleans' own Leidenheimer.
When USA Today ranked the 10 best must-visit New Orleans restaurants for travelers, Mid-City's own Katie's made the list. USA Today says Scott Craig is chef-owner at Katie's, a much-loved Creole Italian eatery that draws armies of regulars for lunch, brunch, and dinner. A neighborhood spot where locals congregate and New Orleans-style hospitality rules. Indeed it does. Katie's in Mid-City.
For game-changing innovation, look to the Latrim family of companies located in Harahan. Intralocks, a Latrim company, changed the game when they invented modular plastic conveyor belts over 40 years ago. These belts and innovative Intralocks technology are transforming movement in manufacturing facilities around the world. Intralocks is a dynamic global company now hiring in production, warehousing, shipping, and more. If you want to be part of our successful team, visit Latrim.com. That's LAITRAM.com.
Here at the NOLA Coalition, we love our kids and we love our city. The people of New Orleans are standing together for a better future. By harnessing our collective resources, the NOLA Coalition will create a safer, more prosperous city for all residents. Your support is needed to help reduce violence, invest in our children, and drive generational change. Join now at nolacoalition.info.
Arnie Filko's with us, former New Orleans City Council president, proud member, as I said earlier, of the New Orleans Jewish community. Arnie, I don't know of a people like the Jewish people throughout history that have been persecuted more. It's crazy. But also, you're a humanitarian, and I know how you think. You care about everybody, black, white, old, young, Jewish, not Jewish. I'm Christian. You and I are friends. You don't care if anyone's gay, straight, none of that stuff. You're a humanitarian. We kind of, in the United States, we're very pro-Israel, and I think we should be. But we kind of ignore the Palestinians, I think, in the United States. If I were a Palestinian, a righteous Palestinian that has nothing against Jewish people, loves America, the freedoms, I don't know if I'd feel like I'm getting a fair shake, even in America.
Well, Corey, I think first of all, U.S. foreign policy for years and decades now has been wanting a two-state solution. But the problem is that it takes two parties to get to a two-state solution.
Yeah.
And we also have to understand that, American Jews are not the same as Israeli Jews, politically. I mean, Israel is a much more, first of all, it's a coalition form of government. It's different than our form of government. And it is trended over the recent years to be much more conservative. And, I will say this, I still, obviously what's happened in the last 2 days is a terrible setback to the possibility of peace, the possibility of two-state solutions. It's, it's a setback for, relationships between Israel, America, and Saudi Arabia, which was something that was very promising and hopefully will still be there at some point. But you can't have what has occurred here. And I can't emphasize enough, this is not one of the multiple conflicts that have occurred over the years between Palestinians and Israelis. It's not. This is something way, way, way beyond that. And the inhumanity of what occurred is going to take a lot of years of healing for people. I mean, there are, we haven't even buried the dead yet in Israel. Okay.
Yeah,
we don't even know what the count is of people dying. I mean, they come across, just this afternoon, they came across a site of 100 bodies, that were murdered over the weekend. So, all I can say is this, Corey, and I appreciate your comments. I mean, look, I care deeply about all people. I don't want to see blood spilled in Israel. I don't want to see blood spilled in Palestinian areas. But, the Palestinian people do need to understand that the entities that are controlling their areas, and in Gaza, it's Hamas and Islamic Jihad.
The Palestinians in Gaza elected Hamas to represent them.
They did. They absolutely did. And because remember, Israel used to run Gaza, okay?
Yep.
And Israel pulled out of Gaza some years ago and said, look, we want to give you Gaza.
Autonomy.
You run it as an independent area, and do elections and handle, sewage and water and crime.
Those Palestinians in Gaza are Israeli citizens, many of them. Israeli citizens. They don't have to sign up for the military. They have some restrictions, obviously, but they are Israeli citizens as Palestinians. But anyway.
Well, at some point, Corey, they're going to have to understand that the people that they elected are terrorists, and that the terrorists at the end of the day don't give a darn about them. I mean, that country, that area is run in a way where people suffer each and every. I'm not talking about war. I'm just talking about basic human services.
Yes.
And now what's happened is Hamas has put the civilian population in a position where I feel, look, I don't have a desire to have people die. I want the Palestinians to have a viable homeland at some point. But the reality is that by virtue of what Hamas and other terrorist groups have done over the last 48 hours, what does the world expect Israel to do?
No,
I mean, it has to take action because of the cruelty and the evil that the terrorists perpetrated.
No, there's no doubt about it. And besides direct, using like women and children as direct shields, there's this indirect effect. There's gonna be incidental or whatever you would call it, deaths of women and children that from Israel retaliating, and that's on Hamas. I think that not so much on Israel. Yeah, the West Bank is run by Palestine, but not Hamas, run by Palestinians. So
yeah, it's run by the Palestinian Authority or Fatah, and I have to say, they're not as evil and cruel and terroristic as Hamas is, but the reality is they're highly ineffective. And that's what I said. If we were ever going to get a chance for a two-state solution, you have to have strong partners on both sides.
Yeah.
Because you're always going to have domestic politics fight against peace. I mean, that's going to happen. And Palestinians, there's going to be factions that say, no, you can't do a deal with Israel. And you're going to have Israelis say you can't do a deal with Palestinians. Right now, the Palestinians have no leadership other than terrorists.
No, you're right. And that leadership is leadershipless. I mean, people talk about Joe Biden. I think the guy who runs Hamas is like 90 years old. I don't know if he can function properly. So he's just some old, cleric type that they think he's a prophet or something.
And he's just survive. I mean, the reality is he's more afraid of Hamas than anybody.
You know what is ironical about this entire situation, Arnie, just thinking about it from outside the bubble? I mean, outside of like the United States and maybe Britain, Israel might be the most free place for an Arab to live. It's in the Middle East. Israel might give an Arab more freedom than any other country that they could live in.
That is an accurate statement, and
especially if you're a woman.
It's not. It involves quality of life. Okay, I mean, Israeli Arab citizens, have a better quality of life clearly than the folks that live in the Gaza Strip or in other areas. there's a protection of minorities. You know, there's an LGBTQ community.
No, I was going to say,
Palestinian community.
You may have
where do you think those folks get the best treatment?
Oh no,
in Israel.
You may have you may have a higher GDP like in Arab Emirates or Saudi Arabia or something like that. You know, because of oil money and that type of thing. But the freedom that you have in Israel as an Arab compared to the freedom in those countries, especially for women, it's not even close. It's just ironical. I was thinking about it. I'm like, that's why so many Muslims and Arabs live in London, because it's a free place to live. They can do what they want. And America and Israel, it's crazy.
I hope, Corey, look, from where we are right now, my hope and prayer, first and foremost, is with the hostages, and I'm hoping, I may be very naive here, but I'm hoping for a miracle, Corey, because that's what it's going to take.
Yeah,
I'm hoping maybe a third party country can broker a deal for the release of these innocents.
Reportedly, Qatar is already trying to do that. Hopefully, that's the case.
Yeah, they're trying, but Qatar. I guess one must question: are they an honest power broker, because they provide funding to Hamas. So, but yes, they have great connections with Hamas, and at least the United States has connections with Qatar. So that's a possibility. But, I don't know where this is going to go. I think everybody anticipates that over the next week, 2 weeks, whatever it may be, this is going to be a absolutely terrible situation with maybe tens of thousands of people losing their life. I would hope and pray that maybe there's some other outcome. But, again, I'm sorry I keep coming back to this, but, Hamas crossed the line in a way that this world has never seen before. And Israel has every right now to do what it needs to do to get the hostages back and to ensure that this can never happen again.
No, and I say, as an American, sometimes I think Israel does some things almost better than we do. And I wouldn't mess with Israel. And I think Israel is going to be relentless. I think Israel is ridiculously organized and forward thinking. And I think they've thought about this kind of scenario and how they would retaliate. And I think Hamas is unaware, isn't even thinking about some of the angles of which Israel is going to attack, I think. I think it's going to be relentless. It's going to be quick. It's going to be devastating. And we'll have to see what goes after that.
But we need to be careful because, look, I think everybody is concerned about the northern border. As you know, as a Lebanese American, Hezbollah has come in and in many ways taken over Lebanon and been a very destructive force there. They have thousands and thousands of missiles.
That's just a big gun pointing at Israel. That's what that is. At the southern border of Lebanon, just endless rocket launchers and guns pointed at Israel. Hey, Arnie, you want to stick around one more segment? I got to take a quick break.
Sure.
Great. I'd like to talk to you more about this. I think our best case scenario, somehow, like you said, a third country coming in, all hostages freed. Ideally, Israel eliminates all these Hamas militants, and then maybe a third party comes in. We kind of broker some type of peace or moving forward. Think about that, Arnie. We'll come right back and talk about that and more. Arnie Filko's with us.
Here at the NOLA Coalition, we love our kids and we love our city. The people of New Orleans are standing together for a better future. By harnessing our collective resources, the NOLA Coalition will create a safer, more prosperous city for all residents. Your support is needed to help reduce violence, invest in our children, and drive generational change. Join now at nolacoalition.info.
Fausto's Italian Bistro on Vets has daily lunch specials Monday through Friday, and their entire lunch menu is available too. Open 11 a.m. through 2:30 p.m. For the finest in Sicilian and Italian cuisine, Fausto's Italian Bistro on Vets. From the owners of Katie's in Mid-City and Bienvenue in Harahan, an old school deli with over a dozen specialty sandwiches. Francesca Deli and Pizzeria on Harrison Avenue in Lakeview between Canal Boulevard and West End. Francesca Deli and Pizzeria.
It's time to relax. The Woodhouse Day Spa, Metro New Orleans' premier day spa experience, now with 5 area locations. For a day of relaxation or maybe just a quick 1-hour getaway, the Metro area's premier day spa experience is at the Woodhouse Day Spa. And now 5 area locations: New Orleans, Metairie, Slidell, Baton Rouge, and our newest location in Mandeville, the Woodhouse Day Spa, woodhousespas.com.
Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com. Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com.
Young's Dry Cleaning, with 2 walk-up locations with personal service. Young's on Claiborne and Young's on Harrison Avenue in Lakeview. Young's Dry Cleaning. Call 288-8381 or online at youngsdrycleaning.com. The Port of New Orleans is the gateway to global commerce, the economic engine that moves Louisiana and our country forward. For more than 125 years, Port NOLA has continued to deliver the goods we use each and every day, by river, rail, and by road. No matter what, it all happens right here, delivering Louisiana's future at the Port of New Orleans, your working river. Learn more about your Port of New Orleans. Visit portnola.com.
Rouse's Market is hiring. With 65 stores, full or part-time employment, and flexible scheduling, Rouse's has a job for you, or maybe even a career. Apply at any Rouse's store or online at rouses.com.
What actually lasts a lifetime? Not much, but at Helm Paint, we have something guaranteed to last a lifetime. Benjamin Moore's Regal Select. This paint and primer in one offers cutting-edge waterborne technology, smooth application, and long durability. Helm Paint and Benjamin Moore, your New Orleans paint store.
The Lamarck Automotive Collision Center, it's open now. We fix cars and trucks. We do all makes and models. And it doesn't have to be a Ford or a Lincoln. It could be whatever you're driving. 32,000 square feet under roof, now open at 3101 Williams Boulevard. It's all about you, the customer, getting the most for your dollar. I would say the most perfect collision center anywhere. The Lamarck Automotive Collision Center, 3101 Williams Boulevard. Go check it out.
Being a part of people's lives, from an engagement ring to a wedding band. Before you know it, the wedding day is here and groom and bride are exchanging gifts on that day. And not too long after that, there's baby gifts to have. And I just enjoy being part of other people's family, saying, Mr. Friend did my engagement ring and he did my mom and dad's engagement ring. My name is Ken Friend of Friend & Company Fine Jewelers. You've got a friend in the jewelry business.
Leidenheimer, that's what I said. Leidenheimer, that's French for bread. Leidenheimer.
For over 120 years, New Orleans' very own Leidenheimer French bread. Yeah, you right. Hey, Arnie, there's that old saying, my mom never told me this. Your mom may have never told you this, but they always say, your mom says, don't discuss religion or politics. You're an an F-150 guy. I'm a Dodge Ram guy. I'm never buying the Ford F-150. You're never buying the Dodge Ram. I better reverse that since I do commercials for Lamarck Ford. The point is, how do you convince someone? I mean, seriously, they're Americans where they're not buying the Ford truck. They're only buying the Chevy and vice versa, and you can't convince them otherwise. How are we going to get this problem resolved, coupled with the fact it seems to have been going on forever? And this isn't Israel or Palestine. God, these borders have changed throughout history over thousands of years. This is a dilemma.
Well, Corey, the first thing that we should learn is that if you don't learn from history, history will repeat itself. And, we learned this and should have learned this in World War II when Neville Chamberlain wanted to appease the Germans.
I have peace in my hands
to bite them in the world. And you cannot appease evil. Okay.
No.
In that case, it was the Nazis, and today it's groups like Hamas. And unfortunately, the only thing that they understand is force. I mean, that is part of the Middle East, is people respect and understand force. And when you show weakness, they take it as weakness. So the question is, where does this situation go? And I'll be honest, anybody that wants to opine on that is pure conjecture at this point. We don't know.
No.
I know this. There's no country in the world that values hostages, whether they're alive or dead, okay, more than Israel. I mean, Israel, you may remember there was a guy named Galit Shalit, who was an Israeli soldier who was captured. I mean, Israel for years and years wanted to get him back and made efforts to get him back and finally did. You're now talking about more than 100 hostages, and Israel is not going to desert them. Okay, they're not going to desert them.
And they're not going to trade for them
But
either.
it's going to take brilliant minds and strategy and intelligence to figure out a way to get these innocent people, back home. And I can only hope and pray that happens.
And they're not going to trade for them either, Arnie. I agree with what you're saying.
I don't believe they're going to trade for them. That was clearly what Hamas's goal was. They're already throwing the number out that they want. There's over 5,000 Hamas and terrorist in Israeli jails. Israel is absolutely under no circumstance going to do that. So it's going to either take a miracle by a third country to find some common ground that Hamas feels that it can do that, or it's going to take a military operation like this world has never seen before. And, I only hope and pray as just a regular human being living in New Orleans, Louisiana, whose heart goes out to the mothers and fathers and grandparents of these kids. I mean, some of these kids, Corey, are as young as 2 years old.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, what type of, and I use the word animal because I don't know a better word.
Well, it's below an animal. It's below.
It may be below an animal.
It
but
is.
What kind of species of person could do that?
Well, no, here's the thing too, Arnie. I talk about and this is a simple analogy, like protesters sometimes, these agitators, especially from out of town, that's what they do full time. Their goal isn't what they say it is. If their goal's achieved, they're agitated about something else. These terrorists aren't going to win and then have Sunday dinner with family at home and live a normal life. These terrorists are terrorists for life. That's what they do. So they need to be eradicated. All right, a perfect world, Arnie. They're eradicated. Hamas is eradicated. Hezbollah chills out in Lebanon, doesn't do anything. Israel is back under control. We've just bombed out half of Kenner or Metairie, and it's part of Metro New Orleans. Gaza's part of Israel. There's 2 million Palestinians there. I don't know who else is going to help them. What's Israel do next for the Palestinian that are Israeli citizens, and it's in their country, even though it's Hamas control, which Hamas will be eradicated, so they won't control it anymore. What's next with Gaza? That just seems like it's almost like East Berlin post World War II.
Yeah. The shame of, what I can assure you is I don't think there's any desire of the Israeli government and the Israeli people to want to go back in Gaza and be, the governing force. I don't think that's anything that's desired. The ironic thing, Corey, and again, I could compare this with Lebanon in some ways. Gaza is the most prime real estate in the Middle East. It's sitting on the Mediterranean. It goes all the way from the southern border of Egypt all the way to the northern border of Israel, of a city called Ashdod and Ashkelon. I mean, if there was ever a chance for real peace, where there could be a two-state solution, think of what that area could be developed for in terms of helping the Palestinian people. And, it is terrible that all of these years they have allowed these terrorist organizations to basically determine their own future. And that there are people within Gaza itself citizens that don't want this, but they're scared to death. I mean, they're not going to speak out against a terrorist organization that is the ruling party. So I want to make one last point, Corey, if I could.
Yeah, quickly. We got about 15 seconds, Arnie.
Okay. Well, my last point is that we better wake up as a world and as a country and understand that evil is evil. And today and the last weekend, it's in Israel. But as you know, the other evil that I've been involved with has been Russia, because those that support Russia or are against Ukraine and getting support for Ukraine are also in the wrong here.
No,
we better wake up to the fact that there is an axis of evil, and countries like Iran and Russia are part of that axis.
Arnie, thank you so much.
You're on the neutral ground
You're
with
welcome,
Corey
Corey.
Johnson
Take care of yourself.
on TV on Cox Channel 4 and Spectrum Channel 333. Also on YouTube, on radio at NOLA Talk 93.9 FM, WSLA New Orleans.
Hi, it's Ken Friend from Friend & Company Fine Jewelers. You've got a friend in the jewelry business. Come see us over on Maple Street in Uptown.
Friend and Company Fine Jewelers Breitling time, 5 p.m.
For game-changing innovation, look to the Latrim family of companies located in Harahan. Intralox, a Latrim company, changed the game when they invented modular plastic conveyor belts over 40 years ago. These belts and innovative Intralox technology are transforming movement in manufacturing facilities around the world. Intralox is a dynamic global company now hiring in production, warehousing, shipping, and more. If you want to be part of our successful team, visit latrim.com. That's LAITRAM.com.
Here at the NOLA Coalition, we love our kids and we love our city. The people of New Orleans are standing together for a better future. By harnessing our collective resources, the NOLA Coalition will create a safer, more prosperous city for all residents. Your support is needed to help reduce violence, invest in our children, and drive generational change. Join now at nolacoalition.info.
Young's Dry Cleaning has free pickup and delivery. That's right. Young's Dry Cleaning has absolutely free pickup and delivery. Home or office, East Bank or West Bank. Call Young's at 288-8381 or online at youngsdrycleaning.com.
Ooh, Leidenheimer, that's what I said. Ooh, Leidenheimer, that's French for bread. Leidenheimer.
5 generations, family owned and operated. Leidenheimer French bread.
For us, it's really relationships. And if you care about the relationship, you're going to do the right thing for the customer all the time. When we're in design process of a custom-made piece, I have a test that says, if I wouldn't give this to my wife, I think we should pass and start over. If it's not perfect, it's going back to the shop. We're going to start all the way over. My name is Ken Friend of Friend & Company Fine Jewelers. You've got a friend in the jewelry business.
Hi, this is Joey Helm. My dad, Bunky Helm, had a vision of a locally family-owned store serving the residential and commercial paint needs of New Orleans. I think Dad would be proud of today's Helm Paint and Decorating, and here's why. We have the best technical staff in the business, providing the best color matching service in Southeast Louisiana. Perfect matching for any color and any brand. And we'll save your colors so you don't have to save those old cans. Helm Paint offers free 2-hour delivery. Our in-store decorators will assist you on deciding what color and type of paint to best showcase your home. But most importantly, as your local independent Benjamin Moore dealer, our products provide the greatest value in the paint industry. Superior coverage, and Benjamin Moore paint simply covers better and lasts longer. New Orleans is a city of vibrant color, and no one else provides the paints of New Orleans like Helm Paint and Decorating. Visit any of our 6 locations or online at helmpaint.com.
Help paint, let us steer you right. Help paint and supply.
Here's New Orleans native son, Corey Johnson.
New Orleans City Councilman Freddie King joins us.
So I want to first say thanks for having me. And believe it or not, man, I used to listen to your show all the time driving home. So it's an honor to be on.
Freddie, I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. It's an honor to have you on the program. Thanks.
The official afternoon talk show of the city of New Orleans. It's Corey Johnson on the neutral ground, where New Orleans is heard.
Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com. Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com.
Ford F-150, #1 seller in America. What about in the USA? Let's see. What about in the world? Who sells more trucks than Ford? Nobody. It's because the Lamont team is the real team. All that makes it happen is one goal. Everybody having a great experience at Lamont Ford. We became number one for a reason, because we're good. And we need to prove it every day, every deal, all the time.
Rouse's, New Orleans grocery store. Rouse's has the only full-service grocery stores both in the French Quarter on Royal Street and in the CBD on Baronne in the old Sewell Cadillac building. The Rouse's on the river, Tchoupitoulas at Napoleon, is in a century-old warehouse. And uptown on Ferret at the corner of Valence is Rouse's all-new boutique store. With 7 locations in Orleans Parish, Rouse's is New Orleans grocery store. Rouse's Markets. Taste like home.
River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. NOLAAC.com, your cool spot. River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. NOLAAC.com, your cool spot.
Sorry to keep repeating myself, but when I was a child in the 70s, 8, 9, 10 years old, and this song came on, my head would pivot towards the TV. I would watch that video montage, which was equal in quality and excitement as this song was. What a combo. Hawaii Five-0. The intro was super excitement for a child, like eating sugar. Yeah, you right. 5 o'clock power hour on an absolutely gorgeous Monday. Oh, yeah. Sunny, clear, temperatures in the high 70s, 32% humidity. I love when the feels like is lower than the actual temperature. It almost doesn't seem possible. It's like the bag of ice that says stays frozen longer, doesn't melt as quickly as the competition. Really? It's ice. I don't see how, if it's 81, it can feel less than that, but that's what we got going. 79. 32% humidity feels like 75. Hey. I'm not complaining. I'm not trying to figure out that equation. I'm just happy that's how it is. Tomorrow, 63, the low when we wake up. Wednesday, 65. Creeping on up to 68 on Thursday. Friday, it might be like 70 in the morning. And then over the weekend, a more than coolio like last week, stronger than what we're experiencing now, coming in on Sunday, Saturday, Sunday. A real kind of coolish front where temperatures will be in the 50s on the South Shore. And that means low 40s maybe on the North Shore. Yeah, you're right. Some mosquito killing weather might be coming our way. Get outside, enjoy it. Tonight would be a good night to throw down some coals, boil some seafood, fry some seafood. Enjoy outside, your backyard. Enjoy the outdoors. It'd be a good time to eat outdoors at Lebanon's Cafe. You can go there right now. They opened up around 11 this morning, and they roll till 9:30 tonight. And they've got a big green awning under the oak trees, those old school New Orleans wrought iron chairs and tables. You got to love it. Outdoor dining at Lebanon's Cafe. Why don't you head there right now? Lebanon's Cafe, Carrollton at Jeanette by the streetcar barn. Speaking of Middle Eastern, the terrorist group Hamas, not everyday Palestinians. They happen to be Palestinians. They're terrorists. Ted Kaczynski is an American. Does he represent you or me? The worst of America that represents all of America. Hamas is the worst of Palestinians. I'm Syrian Lebanese, so it'd be Hezbollah. That's the terrorist group of that country. I don't know what it is here. Some extreme lunatic liberal offshoot that burns buildings in Portland or Seattle, or Proud Boys, Charlottesville, January 6th. I don't know what it is here. I don't know if there's a group organized enough, but it's close to being terrorists, that type, when you're burning buildings or attacking the Capitol, left or right. This is much worse. This is a group that murders women and children, that paraglides into a concert kind of in like a desert. A bunch of young Israelis. Ironically, probably some Arabs in that group, because Israel is full of Arabs that are Israeli citizens. They're not Jewish. They could be Muslim mostly. Some are even Christian, but they're Arab Israelis, Israeli citizens. So I'm sure it's mostly Jewish Israelis at that concert, but probably some Arabs as well. And this terrorist group, Hamas, paraglides in. And the concert goes overnight. So they're rolling into this concert at like 6 a.m, when everybody's sort of waking up or not really at their best. And then all of a sudden they land, and these kids don't know what this is. This 20-something-year crew, 20-something-year-old group. And all of a sudden they start shooting, and it's just a massacre. A massacre. The latest count, 260 dead. They're just running through these fields, scattering, running to cars, trying to drive away. And these Hamas terrorist militants are with machine guns and other weapons are shooting and killing. 260 slaughtered. Some folks say maybe as many as 100 or more taken hostage. Unarmed young people, mostly around 20, trying to enjoy a concert. The Supernova Music Festival. 260 dead there alone. Netanyahu said Hamas gunmen killing handcuffed children. Hamas says for every attack that Israel does on Gaza where there isn't a warning, a hostage will be murdered, and they'll do it live on television. Thousands dead, soldiers, women, children, teens. Thousands more injured. I'm talking on both sides, Israel and Palestine. Hundreds believed taken hostage. Netanyahu says this has just begun. Israel has already killed, reportedly, hundreds and hundreds of Hamas terrorist militants. These late teen, early 20, 25-year-old Hamas militants carrying a gun. They've killed a few hundred of them already. And they're notifying folks in buildings in an hour. This building will be turned to rubble. Grab what you can and get out. They're sending out email blasts over phones. They even drop fake bombs on the roof of the building, that like rubber bombs, metal bombs that just make a noise on the roof like the real stuff's coming in 5 minutes, that type of thing. That's why we've seen literally, and this is from the Palestinian news side, we've seen like an 8-story building demolished and no fatalities. Like the Palestinians cleared out the building. And then the Israelis came through on their promise to blow up that building. And boy, pinpoint rockets and buildings. You're seeing buildings just implode and the buildings on either side of them still standing. Clarissa Ward, a veteran CNN war correspondent. This was an amazing report because this was a replay of her earlier report that was live. She's doing like a stand-up, and then all of a sudden rockets start coming in. She jumps in a ditch. She's crawling around. The camera's all over the place. You hear Clarissa Ward drop an F word. Clearly, it's Clarissa Ward. She drops an F word. Then there's just, the battle going on. And then finally, like when it's about to end, she says it again, and it's even more clearly another F word. And then the reporter that replayed that report, someone watched it and edited it that way, just goes in, Clarissa Ward, what were you experiencing there? CNN, on purpose, left the F word in from Clarissa Ward. And I'm not saying it should have been. That's a tough decision because it's middle of the day, kids are watching, whatever. But I think first off, it's CNN, so it's how many children are watching. And second, Clarissa Ward is a savvy war veteran, legitimate, a journalist, the real deal. Puts her life on the line, like today or earlier today or yesterday, late yesterday. And I think they left it in I know they left it in on purpose. They left it in because it was real. It was Clarissa Ward, her life on the line, her life in danger, and that's what she said. And they're like, why beep that out? And they went with that. And I don't think the FCC is going to fine them or anything. I think it was a good call. I don't know if I would have made it if I was the news director. I might have beeped it out, but it was the right call. I heard it. It was powerful, and it's vulgar word, I guess, but it spoke volumes of the situation that savvy war correspondent journalist Clarissa Ward was in. Corey Johnson with you on a Monday afternoon.
The Woodhouse Day Spa, with 5 area locations: New Orleans, Metairie, Slidell, Baton Rouge, and now Mandeville. A day of relaxation is just moments away at the Woodhouse Day Spa. WoodhouseSpas.com.
Fausto's Italian Bistro on Veterans Boulevard, where the brothers Fausto and Roland are serving some of the city's finest Sicilian and Italian cuisine. From New Orleans' first family of Sicilian and Italian cooking, Fausto's Italian Bistro on Vets.
When a young man comes in and they walk into our store and you can see they're a little intimidated. Last week, I saw the young man. I said, hey, what can I do to give you a hand? He said, well, I'm here for an engagement ring, but I don't think I'm in the right place. So I got him to my desk, and within an hour, he had purchased an engagement ring, had spent $1,000, and he was treated like he spent a lot more, and I'm sure we have a customer for life. My name is Ken Friend of Friend & Company Fine Jewelers. You've got a friend in the jewelry business.
River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. NOLAAC.com, your cool spot. River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. NOLAAC.com, your cool spot.
Custom window treatments can enhance the look and value of your home. At Helm Paint and Decorating, we're proud to offer custom plantation-style window shutters by Scandia. Perfect for any window, including large frames, French doors, sliding doors, and arches. American-made SL300 shutters are available in many colors to match your personal decor. We'll come out to measure, and you'll receive fast delivery. Plus, they're virtually maintenance-free.
Helm Paint and Benjamin Moore. Let us steer you in the right direction.
Helm Paint and Supply.
There's a Middle Eastern restaurant that's less than 5 minutes from where Causeway and River Road meet, Lebanon's Cafe. Convenient to Old Metairie and Old Jefferson. Carrollton at Jeanette on the streetcar line, Lebanon's Cafe. Young's Dry Cleaning, with 2 walk-up locations with personal service. Young's on Claiborne and Young's on Harrison Avenue in Lakeview. Young's Dry Cleaning. Call 288-8381 or online at youngsdrycleaning.com.
Rouse's Market is hiring.
With 65 stores, full or part-time employment, and flexible scheduling, Rouse's has a job for you, or maybe even a career. Apply at any Rouse's store or online at rouses.com.
Ooh la Leidenheimer, that's what I said. Ooh la Leidenheimer, that's French for bread. Leidenheimer.
Served in New Orleans' finest restaurants, Leidenheimer French bread.
In New Orleans, we don't eat to live, we live to eat.
More is better.
Scott Craig of Katie's.
That is our slogan. More is better at Katie's. It means more of everything. Not just more food, more smiles, more friendship, more love, more. When you do something, you have to do it right. You know, it's all about more, and it's all more of the good things.
Get more at Katie's Restaurant in Mid-City.
Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com. Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com.
The Port of New Orleans is the gateway to global commerce, the economic engine that moves Louisiana and our country forward. For more than 125 years, Port NOLA has continued to deliver the goods we use each and every day. By river, rail, and by road. No matter what, it all happens right here, delivering Louisiana's future at the Port of New Orleans, your working river. Learn more about your Port of New Orleans. Visit portnola.com.
Hey, the 5 o'clock powwow on this Monday brought to you by Young's Dry Cleaning. Tired of your dry cleaner? Want to experience the best? youngsdrycleaning.com. Go to their website, youngsdrycleaning.com, and sign up for absolutely free pickup and delivery. Home or office, East Bank or West Bank. They come and pick up your dirty stuff. 2 short days later, drop it all back off to you perfectly dry cleaned. A New Orleans institution, youngsdrycleaning.com. 5 o'clock power hour brought to you by Young's Dry Cleaning. Sunny, clear, high 70s, 32% humidity. Yeah, you're right. Next few days look good. Maybe, I don't want to say it's going to warm up on Friday, but not like right now. But then this weekend, fantastic. Going into next week, a cool front, getting down to the 50s. Yeah, you right. Tulane Athletic Director Troy Dannon over the weekend, taking the athletic director's gig in Seattle. Tulane fans, you need an athletic director. Troy Dannon at the University of Washington. Today was his first day. He's already gone from Willow Street. He'll be officially introduced tomorrow. He's in Seattle. Someone will be packing up the house in New Orleans and trucking it to Seattle. He's the new AD at the University of Washington. Tulane needs a new AD. Troy Dannon did a great job with Willie Fritz, and that's enough to solidify him as a full-blown Green Wave hero, and I mean it. The next AD needs to make sure baseball, men's basketball, eventually women's basketball. There's other sports that need to play at the level of Tulane football. If Tulane can get men's basketball, women's basketball, and baseball playing at a level like football, it greatly increases their chances of getting into a Power 5 conference eventually. Or attracting Power 5 to the American Athletic and it becoming something else and becomes a Power 5, whatever. So I give Troy Dannon on a 1 to 10 scale an 11. An 11, because of Willie Fritz and football, that's the main mover. That's the big thing. That's the hardest thing to fix. He's got it rolling. Indoor bubble coming. New locker room's already there. More things coming. Fritz under contract, earning nearly $3 million annually. Real money going to the football program. Want to win attitude. No, you can thank Troy Dannon, former Tulane athletic director, now AD at the University of Washington. Hey, Brett Martell will join us in about 15 minutes. Another Martell Monday. We'll get his take on that. A nice Saints win, nice LSU win. Tulane, by the way, plays this Friday at Memphis on ESPN. Standalone game. College football on a Friday night. The Wave about 6 hours up I-55. That's a big game. That's a big game. I have not looked at the top 25. I'll do it in the next break. I know Tulane's not in the top 25, but they were 30th last week. Did not play. No, I mean, I'm assuming they could have dropped. They might have gone up. So I'm guessing somewhere between 28 and 31 or something like that, if I had to guess. So close to top 25. Memphis is top 25, I believe. I'll get all that by the time Brett joins us. Pell's getting ready to crank up. Yeah, you right. Martell Monday in a few minutes. The terrorist group Hamas, not everyday Palestinians by a long stretch. They are a terrorist group. That would be like saying, yeah, Ted Kaczynski represents Americans. Hamas, a terrorist group attacking Israel from Gaza. Thousands dead, including soldiers, but women, children, teenagers on both sides. Lots of civilian casualties on the Palestinian in Gaza and Jewish folks in Israel. By the way, Palestinians in Gaza are Israeli citizens. These Arabs are Israeli citizens. But because they're Arabs, they don't have to sign up for the military. Yet Israel's military has Arabs in their military. Not many, but they do have Arabs in their military. Hamas says if Israel does not warn Gaza where the attacks are going to be, they will kill a hostage live on television. Israel is ridiculously good about informing because it's such a precarious situation there. It's essentially like Metro New Orleans, and New Orleans is bombing Metairie or Gretna or Kenner. So they're like saying, hey, you folks in the Galleria, at 3 p.m., we're blowing up the Galleria. So I would get out of the Galleria building, get your family out of there, get any valuables, anything you can get out of there by 3 o'clock because it's going to the ground at 3 o'clock. And then usually at 3 o'clock, some pinpoint missiles come in and they blow up the Galleria. That Israel, that's what they're doing in Gaza. They even drop fake bombs on the roof so people inside the building that still could be in there hear it. And that's like the last warning, like the real stuff's coming next. We've already sent out text alerts, emails. We've made, it's been on the news. It's out there. We've notified the enemy. We're taking out XYZ. That's why Hamas is saying, if you blow up something that you don't warn us about, we're going to kill a hostage. Arnie Filko joined us last hour in the 4 o'clock hour for pretty much the entire hour, getting a Jewish perspective from a good man, Arnie Filko, on this. I'm trying to get a local Palestinian with knowledge on this situation to get their take on it. I've reached out to a buddy of mine, high school friend, LSU buddy, great New Orleanian, 100% Palestinian. I've reached out to him. I'm like, hey, man, I need a Palestinian voice because I've had the Jewish voice on, and I want both sides to be heard. So I will be shooting for that in the next day or so, getting the Palestinian side, because that's the only way to be fair about this. No, there's a difference between Palestinians and Hamas, just like there's a difference between Americans and loony leftists that burn buildings in Portland or Seattle, or Charlottesville or January 6th. Those aren't that's your regular Americans. No, those are extremists. So Hamas is not regular Palestinians. They're extremists. I mean, what are the extremists, the Hasidic Jews in Israel that and I don't even say all Hasidic Jews, but the extreme faction of them, they protest against Arabs, very violent towards Arabs. I mean, I've seen the video. You can YouTube the video of the hardline Jewish folks in Israel that are anti-Palestinian, that are hardcore about it, militant about it, want to see them eradicated. The difference is of the Jewish population in Israel, it's like 1% of 1% of 1% of 1%. With Palestinians, sad to say, and I'm an Arab, it seems like it is a measurable percentage that justify Hamas. I'm not saying it's 30%, but instead of it being like less than 1%, it might be like 8% or 12% or something like that. There's no way to justify Hamas, to justify terrorists. There's no way to do it. Corey Johnson with you on a Monday afternoon. Hey, Friend and Company Fine Jewelers is there for you. They're on Maple Street in Uptown, in between Broadway and Carrollton. Real diamonds, natural diamonds, 1 billion years old. Guys, this is a no-brainer. If you're getting her a diamond purchase like diamond stud earrings, diamond tennis bracelet, diamond necklace, diamond engagement ring, it's a lifetime purchase. A year from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, you have to sit there and look at that and she's smiling and know that you lied to her, essentially. You fooled her. And you're fooling yourself. Yeah, they're man-made. They're lab-created diamonds. No big deal. She won't know the difference. Save me some money. I don't understand that sort of cheap, tight, broken mentality. This is your significant other, the one you love the most. It's a lifetime diamond purchase. Guys, don't be silly. Don't be cheap or tight, and don't get ripped off. Don't do the wrong thing and get 3-week-old lab-created man-made diamonds. Be strong. Don't go to one of these diamond jewelry stores and get talked into that. Hey, here's the man-made diamond. Here's the natural diamond. Which one looks better? Well, yeah, I can show you a poor quality real diamond and put it next to a lab-created one that looks better. Doesn't change the fact that the lab-created man-made diamond's 3 weeks old and it's not real. And it depreciates in value. It's fake. Get her the real deal. Real diamonds, natural. 1 billion with a B. 1 billion years old. Friend and Company Fine Jewelers will take care of you on Maple Street in between Broadway and Carrollton.
River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. NOLAAC.com, your cool spot. River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. NOLAAC.com, your cool spot.
For Leidenheimer Baking Company, producing the perfect French bread is more than a vocation. It's a sacred mission. And for 5 generations, they've used the same time-honored process, baking their signature loaf with its crisp crust and delicate center, unique and still good to the last crumb. From the finest French Quarter restaurants to your local po' boy shop, for over 125 years, New Orleans' own Leidenheimer.
Rouse's, New Orleans grocery store. Rouse's has the only full-service grocery stores both in the French Quarter on Royal Street and in the CBD on Baronne in the old Sewell Cadillac building. The Rouse's on the river, Tchoupitoulas at Napoleon, is in a century-old warehouse. And uptown on Ferret at the corner of Valence is Rouse's all-new boutique store. With 7 locations in Orleans Parish, Rouse's is New Orleans grocery store. Rouse's Markets. Taste like home.
For us, it's really relationships. And if you care about the relationship, you're going to do the right thing for the customer all the time. When we're in design process of a custom made piece, I have a test that says, if I wouldn't give this to my wife, I think we should pass and start over. If it's not perfect, it's going back to the shop. We're going to start all the way over. My name is Ken Friend of Friend & Company Fine Jewelers. You've got a friend in the jewelry business.
You're on the neutral ground with Corey Johnson.
Did you have any problem with Angel Reese? There was a photo of her coming off the bus, holding the phone with the...
And that was a bunch of bull. That was Photoshop, that young lady. That's social media for you. How dare somebody do that?
No, I was wondering if it was Photoshopped or if it was real.
Well, you just got the real answer from somebody who was there.
It's Corey Johnson on the neutral ground, where New Orleans is heard.
The Lamarck Automotive Collision Center, it's open now. We fix cars and trucks. We do all makes and models. And it doesn't have to be a Ford or a Lincoln. It could be whatever you're driving. 32,000 square feet under roof, now open at 3101 Williams Boulevard. It's all about you, the customer, getting the most for your dollar. I would say the most perfect collision center anyway. The Lamarck Automotive Collision Center, 3101 Williams Boulevard. Go check it out.
From the owners of Katie's in Mid-City and Bienvenue in Harahan, an old school deli with over a dozen specialty sandwiches. Francesca Deli and Pizzeria on Harrison Avenue in Lakeview between Canal Boulevard and West End. Francesca Deli and Pizzeria.
Why wear the same old glasses that everyone else is wearing? Stand out from the crowd. Come to Art and Eyes. Art and Eyes is not your typical eyeglasses store. It's one of the finest eyewear shops in the country, right here in New Orleans, with precision-engineered prescription lenses and gorgeous high-quality frames from the heart of Europe, Japan, and the United States. Our products are thoughtfully curated, and our staff are here to help you find exactly the right frames. Art and Eyes on magazine, as unique as you.
Custom window treatments can enhance the look and value of your home. At Helm Paint and Decorating, we're proud to offer custom plantation-style window shutters by Scandia. Perfect for any window, including large frames, French doors, sliding doors, and arches. American-made SL300 shutters are available in many colors to match your personal decor. We'll come out to measure, and you'll receive fast delivery. Plus, they're virtually maintenance-free.
Helm Paint and Benjamin Moore led us steer you in the right direction.
Helm Paint and Supply.
Yeah, you right, Crescent City and beyond. Hey, Fausto's opened their doors up for the night about 25 minutes ago. They'll roll till 9 p.m. You can watch Monday Night Football on the TV at the bar, dine inside. Tonight, outdoor dining at Fausto's. Yes, outdoor dining. Temperatures right now, high 70s. Humidity is 32%, feels like low 70s, and it's only going to get nicer as the sun drops out of the sky. Tonight for dinner, some of the best Sicilian and Italian. Fausto's Italian Bistro on Vets. Be there. Speaking of being there, Brett Martell, another Martell Monday. He's with us again. How you doing, Brett?
Doing well, Corey. How are you?
Doing well. SOS. Glad you're with us again. Troy Dannon, already in Seattle. That happened quickly. Tulane Athletic Director Troy Dannon, no longer Tulane Athletic Director. He's the AD at the University of Washington. Congratulations to him. He earned it, Brett. Willie Fritz in the football program, what an amazing hire. What an amazing job getting that program funded properly, the indoor bubble coming, the big locker rooms that were built in the offseason. Troy Dannon earned it, getting Tulane football on the map.
Right. I mean, his coaching hires have been a mixed bag.
Yeah.
But he had the patience to stick with Fritz, and he had the resourcefulness to kind of hold on to Fritz when things started getting good for him. And now you have a situation where, that clearly has worked out to some of the best football in Tulane history, really. And, especially if they kind of run the table this year, which they're sort of set up to do, and you have two back-to-back, double-digit win seasons, especially if they make back-to-back New Year's Day bowl games and win. I mean, that's pretty much unprecedented, right, in Tulane history. So, Yeah, he's done that, and he's parlayed that into improved locker room, improved facilities, a lot of important improvements. He did inherit Yeoman Stadium, which the previous athletic director got built, Rick Dixon. But yeah, he's done a good job. I mean, hiring coaches is not always that easy. The basketball team has improved the last couple of years. Women's basketball has done well, but baseball struggled, and his first basketball hire didn't work out very well at all either. So
you could argue his first baseball hire worked out and was hired away.
Yes, you could argue that.
So I mean, I think Washington probably looks at that, but then baseball not doing what football's doing. Men's basketball not doing what football's doing, and women's basketball not doing what football's doing. They have a different situation, a veteran coach who's been there a long, long time. But the next AD that comes in, I'm not saying fire or hire anybody. The baseball team has to be like the football team. The basketball team needs to be like the football team. Women's hoops needs to be like the football team. These teams need to be winning, Brett, because really the future, it could be about getting in a Power 5 conference or Tulane being powerful enough where they lure some stragglers from old Power 5s to form something new that could be Power 5-ish.
Yeah, well, I do think that they have to think outside the box in terms of basketball, just because of the facility they have, and they don't really have the tradition to support, a big time basketball stadium.
Well, that new AD might be the person. I mean, what were they talking about? Building a basketball arena? Where were they talking on campus? I know when I had Troy Dannon on, the parking lot on Claiborne where Old Rosen Hall is out. That is not going to be for athletics. But I forgot, he said on top of something, maybe they could build it on top of the Hertz Center or something. I forgot where they were talking about building a basketball arena.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. It's possible that it could do that in the future, and they would probably have to do that. But in the meantime, the arena they have is very charming, and it's a delightful place to see a game. It's just not a high revenue.
What is it? What is it jam-packed, Brett? 3,200?
It's in between 3,000 and 4,000, but I think it's in the high 3,000s. But they have to. I'm thinking 37, but they have to fill that consistently. I mean, they've been selling out maybe 1 or 2 games a year the last couple of years. They need to fill that consistently before they can start thinking about, a bigger basketball stadium, luxury suites, and all those amenities and everything. That's going to make them more suited for a bigger conference, or at least be bringing in the reliable revenues that they can use to really attract basketball players, not just with the facilities, but with NIL and all that stuff. So, that's going to be harder to do. But baseball, I would say, among private schools, look, they're at a disadvantage because their tuition's high, and baseball doesn't have enough scholarships to go around for the whole team. If there were more scholarships in baseball, I think Tulane would win every year, and it would be easy to recruit there because the scholarship would be so valuable and they have such great facilities. But instead they have this switch, split up several scholarships, and so even and then kids have to pay half of Tulane's tuition, which is probably more than all of LSU's tuition.
No, you're right.
Definitely, or UNO's, right? And UNO competes with them,
of course.
So, those are tougher. Football, they do have all the scholarships they need, and so you tell a football player, hey, you get to play in New Orleans. A lot of them are from Louisiana South. Scholarship to Tulane is worth over $250,000, and you're playing for a team that wins now and has a pretty good facility. It's not a huge stadium, but it's nice, and you can go to a Cotton Bowl and beat a USC, and you can get drafted in the NFL. So football is in the best shape out of all of them right now.
Hey, speaking of, it's obviously in good shape. Otherwise, Tulane wouldn't be playing Memphis on a Friday night on ESPN. I love it. This Friday night, pretty big ball game for the Green Wave at Memphis, Brett. And I love that it's standalone. It puts the national spotlight on Tulane. This is a great opportunity to showcase the team, pick up a victory, and help in recruiting, help in enrollment.
Yeah, I think it's big. I mean, it's probably the biggest and most difficult game they have left. You could argue that the UTSA game also poses a challenge, although, it looks like Memphis has played a little bit better than UTSA so far this year, and also UTSA, if I remember right, looking at the schedule, is in New Orleans at Tulane. So this is, Tulane, they often go to the Liberty Bowl, and they often get beat pretty badly there. So this is going to be one of those games where they really have to show up. If you remember a few years back during the Fritz era, they did go to the Liberty Bowl for a primetime game against Memphis, and they were right on the fringe. They were getting votes. They were right on the fringe of being ranked for the first time in a long time, and they got absolutely annihilated. And, that was several years back. They still ended up making a bowl game that year, but they need to, this is an interesting game for them. It's going to be tough. And if they show up and if they win convincingly, I can't see them losing for the rest of the year.
Hey, Brett, Hugh Freeze at Auburn said, Jaden Daniels, if you don't think he's a Heisman Trophy candidate, you haven't been watching college football. I think that isn't just coach speak. Hey, let me praise the other team to, kiss their rear end. I think Hugh Freeze, offensive-minded. He even said the old cliche, and I paraphrase, we can't stop him. We just got to try to slow him down, control him somewhat. Very complimentary of Jaden Daniels, the Auburn coach. Old classic game that's been played for decades now, Auburn LSU. There's been a lot of good smash mouth ball games between the two Tigers.
Well, I agree. I mean, Jaden Daniels, you can look at the numbers for one thing, and he's nationally up there with the best. But second of all, in addition to some of the fantastic throws he started to make, I mean, if you ask me who are the best all-around quarterbacks, running and passing, the scrambling, the big game-breaking scrambles and runs that I can remember in the past several decades that are better than Jaden Daniels, I would say, well, maybe Michael Vick and maybe Cam Newton, But beyond that, I'm having a hard time remembering quarterbacks who can just take off and run and make the kind of critical game-turning runs that he's made, whether you're talking about the touchdown at the end of the Alabama game last year or, he comes back from that injury and makes that long touchdown run. I mean, that was just like a warrior type of run, right, at Mizzou in the fourth quarter. It was tremendous. And then he came back again and made a huge throw. He was able to roll out, spot the guy breaking open with the busted coverage, and throw for the touchdown, and lead him to a win. So he's been unbelievable. We can't play Brian Kelly's comments. Did you hear the post-game comments to giving the game ball to Jaden Daniels? No, I'm sorry, I missed that. Yeah, he just used some words we can't say, but it was great. He just called him like a MF-er and all this kind of stuff like that. It was just great, and gave him the game ball, and it was fantastic. Anyway, hey Brett, Saints pick up a big win and handle things the way they should have, but the Patriots are really bad. But so what? You got to win those games, and they did it on the road. Yeah, the Patriots are not playing well, but the Saints beat them just as badly as Dallas did. Maybe, technically, the Dallas won by 35, the Saints won by 34. The Patriots got a field goal against Dallas. So those, basically they beat them as bad. And, the Saints defense, they didn't have their greatest game at home against Tampa Bay the week before. It didn't help that some key guys were out. It didn't help that the offense couldn't keep them off the field, right? Defenses wear down in those situations. But this is their second shutout since last October 30th. And they've only allowed more than 20 points in 2 games since then. One of them being, the previous week 4 of this season. So that's really consistently good defense. What they did was, they responded to they didn't respond to a bad, demoralizing loss by losing confidence in their roster. Brett, hold that thought real quick. I got this break train coming through. Brett Martell's
Dave
with
Miette
us.
Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com. Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com.
It's time to relax. The Woodhouse Day Spa, Metro New Orleans' premier day spa experience, now with 5 area locations. For a day of relaxation or maybe just a quick 1-hour getaway, the Metro area's premier day spa experience is at the Woodhouse Day Spa, and now 5 area locations: New Orleans, Metairie, Slidell, Baton Rouge, and our newest location in Mandeville. The Woodhouse Day Spa, woodhousespas.com.
Trey Yen in Mandeville, a New Orleans tradition for over 40 years, serving the finest Louisiana-inspired Chinese cuisine. Open Tuesday through Sunday. Trey Yen.
Ooh la Leidenheimer, that's what I said. Ooh la Leidenheimer, that's French for bread. Leidenheimer.
Since 1896, a true taste of New Orleans. Leidenheimer French bread. Young's Dry Cleaning has free pickup and delivery. That's right, Young's Dry Cleaning has absolutely free pickup and delivery. Home or office, East Bank or West Bank. Call Young's at 288-8381 or online at youngsdrycleaning.com.
Hi, everyone. It's Tommy Wrong for AsbestosMoneyGrab.com. This is not, I repeat, not for folks with real asbestos problems. But if you're like me and we're maybe taking a shop class in high school where you maybe breathed in some brake dust and you know for certain you're fine, but you're the type of person that takes advantage of these types of situations, get tested, lawyer up, and steal some money like me. Go to I'm not really hurt at all, but like exploiting the system for free cash.com.
Being a part of people's lives, from an engagement ring to a wedding band. Before you know it, the wedding day is here and groom and bride are exchanging gifts on that day. And not too long after that, there's baby gifts to have. And I just enjoy being part of other people's family, saying, Mr. Friend did my engagement ring and he did my mom and dad's engagement ring. My name is Ken Friend of Friend & Company Fine Jewelers. You've got a friend in the jewelry business.
My Sittu, that's Arabic for grandmother, used to make the best football kibbe. You can experience kibbe just like my grandmother used to make, and so many other Middle Eastern favorites on the streetcar line, Lebanon's Cafe.
Here at the NOLA Coalition, we love our kids and we love our city. The people of New Orleans are standing together for a better future. By harnessing our collective resources, the NOLA Coalition will create a safer, more prosperous city for all residents. Your support is needed to help reduce violence, invest in our children, and drive generational change. Join now at nolacoalition.info.
The Port of New Orleans is the gateway to global commerce, the economic engine that moves Louisiana and our country forward. For more than 125 years, Port NOLA has continued to deliver the goods we use each and every day, by river, rail, and by road. No matter what, it all happens right here, delivering Louisiana's future at the Port of New Orleans, your working river. Learn more about your Port of New Orleans. Visit portnola.com.
For game-changing innovation, look to the Latrim family of companies located in Harahan. Intralocks, a Latrim company, changed the game when they invented modular plastic conveyor belts over 40 years ago. These belts and innovative Intralocks technology are transforming movement in manufacturing facilities around the world. Intralocks is a dynamic global company now hiring in production, warehousing, shipping, and more. If you want to be part of our successful team, visit Latrim.com. That's LAITRAM.com.
Yeah, you right. Corey Johnson back at you. 5 o'clock Power Hour on a Monday afternoon. We do it every day on radio, on television, live on YouTube. Corey Johnson, the neutral ground. You can also check us out on TV till 5:30. 2 hours on radio, 4 to 6 o'clock. 2 hours live streaming, CoreyTalks.com, our website. 2 hours live on YouTube, 4 to 6 o'clock. The first 90 minutes of the 2-hour talk radio program simulcast on television all over Louisiana. If you subscribe to Cox TV, we're on Cox Channel 4 from 4 to 5:30 weekdays. If you subscribe to Charter Television, we're on Spectrum Channel 333, 4 to 5:30 weekdays.
Brett Martell's with us. Another Martell Monday. Brett, Saints taking care of business against New England like they were supposed to on the road. Got to keep it going because it is a tight NFC South right now, and it's wide open.
Yeah, and what I was saying, I think, before is that although the Patriots are not that good, first of all, they did win by a lot. Second of all, they could have responded to a demoralizing loss by looking around and questioning whether the locker room spotting, questioning whether the coaching staff is really what they need, whether the offensive coordinator, there were questions around him.
Yep.
And what they did is they circled the wagons and everybody showed up and they played a tremendous game in 3 phases and they won convincingly. The offense accounted for 3 touchdowns. The kicker continued to make good field goals. That's looking like a good decision. And then they had the defensive touchdown. For a team that hadn't scored more than 20 points in any of the first 4 games, to have the offense score 27 and the defense out a pick 6 with Tyrann Mathieu. And it's, what a great day for New Orleans. Right? The St. Now kid has a pick 6. The Jesuit kid scores on a shovel pass. Right? The tight end, Foster Morrow.
It was a Catholic League extravaganza.
Right, Catholic League extravaganza for the New Orleans Saints. Yeah.
Yep.
So, that is a really good feel-good win, even if the Patriots are struggling.
Everybody loves Willie Green. Can they get over the hump this year, the Pels? Zion Williamson staying healthy and being svelte, being as skinny as humanly possible. I think those are the key.
Yeah, he is training with the team, and hopefully they're helping with his weight a lot, and reducing the pressure on the joints and working on his soft tissue, minimizing the soft tissue injuries as well with his flexibility.
Yeah.
And, but with Zion, unfortunately, we're in year 5, and you can only say, I'll believe it when I see it, right? Because for most of the first 4 years, he just hasn't been reliably
That's
available.
insane. That Zion Williamson is going into year 5 is almost as crazy as Sean Payton and Drew Brees with the NFC's best team only once.
Right. The good news for Zion is that he's still quite young.
Yeah.
And
just unbelievable.
When he has played, he's demonstrated that he could be a superstar.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
He's an all-star even when he's not an all-star.
Right. Twice he's been. I know. Yeah. 1 year he played 60 games, made the all-star game. Another year he played 27 games last year, so made the all-star game. So because he was so good in those games in the front half of the season that they couldn't leave him off. And he was hoping to really come back and play in the all-star game, and then he had a setback with the hamstring, and ended up not playing for the rest of the season, unfortunately. So look, Zion says he's made changes. He knows that whatever he was doing before wasn't working, and he's a firm believer that people who do the same thing and expect different results are crazy. He said that more than once in interviews. So I know that he's mindful of that. And we'll have to see if whatever he did differently this year, allows him to be reliably available so that he can do what he has already shown, that when he is reliably available, he reliably scores 27 points a game and gets, 7 or more rebounds. So, and sometimes in spectacular fashion. If he's doing that, they're a formidable team.
Hey, Brett, I forgot to ask you something about LSU before I let you go. Pete Jenkins maybe already making a difference with the defense and the D-line. And I saw him yelling at a referee on a bad call right over Kelly's shoulder. Pete Jenkins, 80-something, back at LSU.
Well, they had to do something, and he certainly helped when Ogeron was running the team. So, we'll see what happens.
He helped when Ogeron was running the team. Helped when Saban was running the team. Helped with Arnsparger, Jerry Stovall. Go back 40 years with Pete Jenkins. He was a young pup. He's been at LSU like 6 different times under 4 different coaches, if I'm not mistaken. We had him on the program a few weeks ago. What was the final thing I wanted to ask Brett Martell?
It is nice that he's so willing to come out of retirement and help, and still has the desire.
Speaking of going backwards, Brett, do you have a Tulane athletic director candidate since Troy Dannon's gone? What about Scott Sidwell?
You know, I haven't really thought that much about that one. It happened so fast over the weekend, and it's, I mean, what do you like about Scott Sidwell?
That he's got about 12 years of AD experience. He's at Penn State as an associate AD. He's at San Francisco as the AD. Tulane baseball player. Steve Sidwell's son, New Orleans guy, loves Tulane, knows athletics, that kind of stuff. And you probably got a guy for life, and he gets it, I think. But yeah, you get a full, you do a full search.
Right. I mean, you want to make sure you have someone who's a charismatic fundraiser.
Yeah.
And, and hopefully shows a good judge of talent. I mean, one of the reasons Dana was hired is because he had very competitive teams at Northern Iowa.
Yeah, yeah. No, exactly. And he got football going. Blue Boys barking. Brett, always a pleasure, man. Thanks so much.
You got it, Corey. Good talking to you.
You too. That's Brett Martell from the Associated Press joining us. Another Martell Monday. Corey Johnson with you. I'll see you mañana, straight up 4 o'clock. Be there.
You're on the neutral ground with Corey Johnson on TV on Cox Channel 4 and Spectrum Channel 333. Also on YouTube, on radio at NOLA Talk 93.9 FM, WSLA New Orleans.
Hi, it's Ken Friend from Friend & Company Fine Jewelers. You've got a friend in the jewelry business. Come see us over on Maple Street in Uptown.
Friend & Company Fine Jewelers, Breitling time, 6 p.m.